This is Uncle.
History, their history. Family name. Yes, sir.
You doing the minutes today?
Good to see you. Good to see you, brother.
How's Miss Chadwick? Doing fine.
They still running Ukraine.
Good to see you next to you, bro.
Hey, you haven't heard any more about that Harrison?
Well, I'm ready to tell you, at 6:15. Nobody knows anything about biodiesel.
Oh, really?
It's a very new concept. Be close. I don't know that much about it, and there's nobody in the office.
Well, I do know that there's 26 agents in Green Hills, and that there's only 5 right now in Millersville.
No. What you call green hills?
I am, I still think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work.
How did that differ? We worked under all I couldn't, I went online, see what I could find out. On call?
She brought a folder.
Yeah, I don't know.
That ain't never good.
Their commission split is 40-60, they keep 60.
Go as long as you want to.
How do we?
I don't know, then you have a franchise fee of 6%, and then you still have to pay the Carroll Regional Brokerage, if I'm not mistaken, 30%, so it's like there's nothing left.
Well, Jim and I started something called 3 Doors. And it's 50-50.
I don't even have a clue as to what y'all are talking about. I don't even know that I want to know.
I'm like, that's where I sent a message. What's interesting is I sent him back the scenario, and I said, so there's nothing left. And I said, actually, I have to pay. And so I said, he goes, well, let me wait, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. I haven't heard a word. I haven't heard anything.
Well, yeah, that makes no sense, especially with the benchmark and the line.
Yeah, but I went to benchmark, and there's issues there.
Yeah, I think you're talking to Brandon, he better come on.
Months ago. I figured it would end up.
Yeah, and I was surprised. Yeah, and we need to talk. I need to call, I'll call you.
On purpose?
Occasionally.
And it's so funny, my mother has just raved and raved and raved and raved.
You seen her a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I went and saw it today.
She's got a nice one.
Oh, I know. And she said, well, I just can't believe he did all this work. It just looks so good.
She'll love them vinyl rails.
Huh?
Them vinyl rails are the way to go.
Oh, yeah.
She'll love them.
Oh, no, she's already just
Melon.
nuts over it. And it's beautiful. Looking out that room, and all you do is see the lake. It's just stunning.
We put those vinyl rails on the White House. And that's why it looks like it's
Really.
We'll get out of Georgia, get some.
plus they got one.
So I'm taking them to the airport Friday morning and heading out.
Not right now. I think they come out of Alabama. I don't think they're that
He came back up here to see what I was doing.
good. Watermelon. She buys these watermelons. I said they're no good.
Oh, now? What you get now?
They come out of Florida, South Alabama.
Most of them are from Mexico.
You already tell.
If you go to Publix and you buy $1 you get a good price. That's what you get. That's fruit.
Get our fruit.
It's gonna cost you probably a little bit more, to be honest with you, but you get paid.
You eat it.
For a junk watermelon, you can
It's
get
$5.99.
for 7.
That's why
I'll be by first thing in the week.
sale $5.99.
Okay, well, she's got her own.
Make special trips to Buffalo. Makes a special trip to Buffalo. Absolutely. That's the best. Strawberries, I was trying to get some strawberries the other day, looking everywhere for them. And found it had to happen, because they were doing some kind of recipe. And I went up to Holland, I got the traffic jam down here, they had a wreck down here before we get a move thing. And I called them, they had,
That's the way to do it, over.
2 or something left. She said, I will put you one down. I need a little bit. I said, yes, I'm right. She put it back. I took those things, I bought them.
Okay, so Matt's coming in July.
You could have sat there and eaten the whole pack. They were so sweet. Everyone food, juicy, sweet. I don't know where they get them. I don't know how to do it, but they've got the.
He's well educated.
I know he is.
You see all that?
Yes. I looked him up.
He does. doctorate, 2 masters.
Have y'all met him yet?
What do we do?
He's gonna be the new pastor over at Connell. He's young.
My kid, you know, is the associate up at Cookie First. And he sent me and said he was well respected.
Is he?
He did say he hoped he wasn't too smart. I think that was one big guy.
Oh.
Cute, boy.
That's good.
What's that?
No idea. No, use. Brown.
I don't know. I'm just filling in. Y'all know I'm
You
just
know what the
filling in.
address is to that
This
piece of
is
property
not
on Woody
my
Lane?
world.
1040.
Oh, that's Woody.
All right, Ms. Deb, whenever you get it all turned on. Good. All right, I'll call to order the Millersville Board of Commissioners regular meeting, Tuesday, April 17, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. If everyone would please stand for the invocation and the pledge.
Let's bow together in prayer. Father, we're always reminded of the wonder of freedom in this country. Every time we meet, and all across this country, we have these kinds of meetings. We're so blessed. May we never forget that, and may we never take that for granted. And Father, we pray your blessings upon this meeting tonight. Give wisdom to our city's leaders. May our citizens be supportive. And may we all remember, Lord, that in the end we stand before you. May we get it right, and we do it right. May we make you proud. We thank you, Lord, for the way you love us, and we thank you for Jesus, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, amend it now or later. All right, item number 3, resolution 18-R-03, appointment of a city judge, Mr. William Johnson. If the attorney will
Mr. Johnson?
Approach the commission. My pleasure to administer the oath of office to you, and if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, William M. Johnson,
I, William M. Johnson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee.
and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee.
I will administer justice without respect of persons,
I will administer justice without respect to persons,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties incumbent upon me
discharge the duties incumbent upon me
as judge of the municipal court for Millersville, Tennessee,
as judge for the municipal court of Millersville, Tennessee,
to the best of my skill and ability,
to the best of my skill and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
It was Mr. Johnson, it's Judge Johnson.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Before he signs, perhaps we should make a motion to accept this resolution 18-R-03.
Highly in order.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimous.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Unanimous, all right.
It goes into the minutes, official record of the commission.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to working together.
Thank you, sir.
You want to amend it before or after the public hearing?
It's my brother, but I don't know if I made it. Yes, sir.
This is my wife, Nicole.
I'm Beverly Johnson. Nice to meet you.
Mr. Mayor, I have an amendment to add to the agenda. I'd like to amend the agenda to include a discussion of the outbuilding that is being utilized without a certificate of occupancy at 1040 Woody Lane, Millersville, Tennessee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to amend the agenda to add an item, I guess we'll call it 5B, to discuss and take action on 1040 Woody Lane. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 5 is a public hearing, ordinance 18-692 to amend Chapter 90 of the Millersville Code of Ordinances, Article 1, Section 7, definitions, accessory building or structure and farm-type structure, Section 18, accessory use regulations, and Article 3, Division 2, residential districts. Now open for public hearing. Seeing none, I'll now close public hearing. Item 5B, 1040 Woody Lane. Discussion and take action if necessary.
I think that there's some information that can be provided by the codes administrator, acting codes administrator, in regards to this property being occupied without a certificate of occupancy. Or does...
All I was suggesting, just came to my attention a few weeks ago. And in looking at it and then in just now discussing it with Brandon, I think it would be in order for you to authorize me to file whatever's necessary in order to see that this gentleman is in compliance with the laws of Millersville. And leave it that wide open, and hopefully, after talking with Brandon, that we can do things through his office as the fire marshal for this community to get him to do that which he is long since supposed to do.
Has the property owner been notified already and something been given?
Several times,
Several?
yes. Right.
Come up here to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So, I'm not gonna stand, sorry. So prior to, I guess last year, end of last year, we dealt with the property owner several times. This building of concern was permitted as a single-family residence. It does meet the standards, the minimum standards for a residential dwelling. However, it has not been inspected. No aspect of that building has been, the footings haven't been inspected, the framing, any of it has been inspected in the past. He was made aware that he is not allowed to occupy it. He does have temporary electric, which is common practice for a residential building, and he was made aware. We've been out on several occasions with the PD. He's been occupying it. Time and time again, we have instructed him not to occupy it overnight, only to be working on it. He cannot be living there. So he was he was given a letter. His family got involved. They came in. We spoke with the contractor that they reached out to, advised them what needed to be done to get the building up to code, get it inspected, and make it where he can occupy it. That hasn't happened. The permit has since expired, and he is illegally occupying an uninspected, unsafe structure.
Has the electricity been inspected?
The temp services has been inspected. Cumberland Electric won't put that in unless it's been inspected. So basically, he has a temp pole in the front yard, and he's pulled off a bit, supplying the power to the dwelling.
Is he and his family occupying it in the evening?
It's primarily him, Mr. Ragland. I don't believe he's got, I know he has children, but I don't believe they're there with him. But I only have powers on the fire side. I can't enforce the residential code unless it's referenced in the IFC. It depends on which way the commission wants to go. If we want to reach out and try to enforce it through the fact that the permit's expired and he's illegal occupying it, we can go that route, or we can go my route, which is basically the same way. I would have to deem it an unsafe structure, which it is because it has not been inspected. It has not been, and nothing's been passed on it. So he would be notified of the unsafe structure. I can order to vacate. I can issue fines if we deem necessary. It just depends on which way the commission wants to go, with us being in the middle of obtaining a building official.
Which would you recommend?
I would prefer to go through the building codes, but we're in a position where we don't have that luxury right now. So we can go fire. We can go through the fire code. That's not a problem.
But can the city attorney do it through codes? Can you bring an action based on the violation of codes?
Well, I think we can. I think I can do that in Chancery Court with the ultimate goal of getting an order that he has to vacate, using all of that as a basis for asking the court to so order. These are the facts. This is illegal. Tell him he can't be there. Nothing else has worked. And there's no other adequate remedy of law at law, so that's what we would attempt to do if all of that is necessary. And from what I was told yesterday and today, it sounds like it is.
Would you prefer, or would the commission prefer, trying to go this route as far as the violation of the fire code safety violation? And if that doesn't work, then move to Chancery?
As I said, I'm asking you to do whatever's necessary, authorize me to do whatever's necessary.
Okay.
We can do that and leave it open-ended purposely to try this before going to Gallatin. But as of now, nothing else has worked.
Well, if the codes have tried, if they try again, what's going to be the result?
Well, I'm told he's not going to move. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but at some point, if you get an order from the court that you have to move, and he doesn't, then we go back and say, Judge, he's held in contempt, you got to go pick him up. But that's sometimes necessary.
Yeah.
Was there ever a permit issue to build it there?
There was a permit paid for in full for a single family. I believe 700 some odd square foot dwelling, paid for sewer tap, paid for everything that anybody else would pay for all his inspections, and that's as far as he went with it.
So you say his permit's run out?
It's expired, and it's past the point of where you could renew it, so.
Is that a site-built house?
I'm not sure if it's site-built or not, but as long as it passes framing, it could be built in a warehouse or on the side of the road, as long as it has proper foundation and
Is this the one sitting on blocks? Which one are we sitting? That was.
Yes, sir.
Is this sitting on blocks?
Because from what I understand, they were going to do a trench style footing, and then of course block underneath it and have it strapped somehow, and it was all going to be engineered, and the codes department would accept an engineered letter instead of actually having physically go out and inspect the work.
But that hasn't been done.
But none of that has been done. His permit has expired.
Well,
Has he made, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Has he made any attempt to correct himself any length of time since, before we met here this evening? And this has been brought up, this is the first time I've heard
There's
this.
been no improvements, nothing visible. I mean,
There hasn't been any effort on his part to contact you or Mr. Barr or anybody here at this city to help me out. Has he come to for help? That's what I want to know. Has he come to the city asking for help?
his family, he contacted his family because he didn't quite understand what was going on. They came to us and they asked the codes department what was required, what do we need to make happen. They put me in contact with a family friend who was a contractor. I spoke with him, explained every part of the permitting, how we needed a letter for the footings, and then how we needed to get the house dried in and get a framing inspection done on it. The electrical needed to be roughed in. We needed to have electrical rough-in inspection by the state, because they do the electrical inspection. And he was very familiar with that process, because he was a contractor, he had a contractor's license, and that's as far as they went.
Has he come to the city and said, I'm out of money, can you give me some little leeway or anything at all?
Not to my knowledge.
That's not your knowledge.
Are there bathroom facilities in that house?
Not to my knowledge.
Another question, I'll be quiet. Has he tried to work with you in the codes at all?
No. In my time as in the codes department, he has not.
Okay. I was just going to say, it sounds like from what you're saying, then pursue this avenue, but leave it open for you to be able to handle your end. Okay. Then do we need to make a motion for that?
Yep.
Okay, then I make a motion that we proceed forward with the fire inspector looking into the situation, and then if that is not handled, then our city attorney will do what is necessary.
So what you need?
Is that what you need?
Good for
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
You don't give him any kind of timeline on, if codes goes back to him, we're going to meet again in a month and see if
There
this
is
has
no
been done.
timeline, there's no timeline. If he's illegally occupying the building, you can't do that.
My question is, if we turn it back over to codes, and codes run into another wall, does it need to come back to us, or does it go straight to
That's
our
why
attorney?
it's open-ended. I'm suggesting
Mhm.
that it's, the ball's in his court. And if he doesn't perform, then I have my marching orders right here tonight.
Okay, so it's up to, right here, if he can't do it.
I'm talking about the homeowner. The ball's in the homeowner's court.
Understand, but I'm wondering what, it doesn't come back in front of the commissioner again?
I think so.
Okay,
I could order him out and padlock the door. That's-
you can do that without our city attorney? Okay.
There'll be some law enforcement involved for sure, but they have that ability.
Okay, I didn't know that's good, I didn't know. Thank you.
All right, anybody got anything else? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 6, approval of the minutes from the February 20, 2018 regular commission meeting. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 20th, 2018 regular commission meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Item number 7, approval of minutes from the March 20th, 2018 regular commission meeting. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes March 20th, 2018 regular commission meeting.
Second motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 8, approval of minutes from the March 23rd, 2018 special commission meeting. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 23rd, 2018 special commission meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 9, approval of the March 2018 financial report. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the March 2018 financial report.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 10, approval of interim city manager's plan of action proposal for personnel compensation during the interim and transition period. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the interim city manager's plan of action proposal for personnel compensation during interim and transition period.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
These monies won't change. They're set up for 6 months, or 3 months to 6 months. I read through it, but I just want to make sure it's 3 months to 6 months.
26 weeks.
3 to 6 weeks.
26 weeks.
Okay.
Half a year.
6 months. I thought that was right. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 11, second reading of ordinance 18-692 to amend chapter 90 of the Millersville Code of Ordinances, Article 1, Section 7, definitions, accessory buildings for structure and farm-type structures, Section 18, accessory use regulations, and Article 3, Division 2, residential districts. Call for a motion.
Move that we approve on second reading ordinance 18-692, amending the Millersville Code of Ordinances as stated by the mayor a few moments ago.
Second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote, and this will be a roll call vote. Commissioner Gregory.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Coleman.
Aye.
Commissioner Doris.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Item number 12, first reading of ordinance 18-693 to rezone 2044 Wilson Lane, Robertson County map 125, parcel 226.00 from residential R1 and commercial C3 to residential R5 and commercial C3. Call for a motion.
Move that we approve ordinance 18-693, which is to rezone 2044 Wilson Lane, Robertson County.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, the planning commission voted by majority to recommend to the city commission rezoning this parcel to R5 commercial C3 on October 10, 2017. Unanimous vote.
Anything further? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 13, resolution 18-R-02, repeal and replace resolution 15-R-04 related to take-home vehicles and adopt a vehicle use policy. Call for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 18-R-02 and repeal and replace resolution 15-R-04.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made. Second, is there any discussion?
Did we, the language in here that we were discussing,
When I read it, it had all been changed.
Yeah, I read it, it's changed.
There was just one other added on there, wasn't it? Wasn't there one other person added on there?
Yes. There was one person added, and then there was some changes that were made down at the bottom, allowing department heads
to approve civilian
to
passengers.
approve civilian passengers as well as the city manager. And then the changes that we discussed with fire chief, the assistant fire chief, police chief, and assistant police chief.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion carries by a vote of 4-1. Item number 14, approval to repeal resolution 17-R-18, establishing a compensation plan in order to address conflicting verbiage and update the compensation table and job description. Call for a motion.
I move that we repeal and or rescind resolution 17-R-18, compensation plan, due to the fact that there is some conflicting language between it and our current ordinances. that we take the time to do it correctly later.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, I do want to just make sure, because I talked to Holly a little bit, because we do have that study that we've done, so I just want to make sure we move that to a work session so that we do discuss it in detail. I just believe that some of the compensation in the city is incorrect for some of the employees, and it's something we really need to evaluate, especially for the budgets coming up.
As far as I know, she told me that it will be on the next work session.
Great.
Anybody got anything else? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 15, approve position of Assistant Police Chief and compensation. Call for a motion.
Move that we approve we approve the position of Assistant Police Chief with the compensation as outlined in the packet here.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Is this creating a position?
It's establishing Assistant Police Chief.
Okay. So we don't have one now, I'm saying, right?
We'll be vacating a lieutenant's position.
Okay. That's fine. I just want to make sure we're giving another position, another opening, another position slot in there. We're hiring a new person.
No.
No.
I know what I'm talking about. We're actually making a position here, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I meant. We're making a position, and we're eliminating the lieutenant position.
No.
We're not.
We're not eliminating the lieutenant position. That may be,
It may be utilized later.
but there will.
If there's need in the police department to promote somebody, they can be promoted to lieutenant later. It's just another step in the chain of command for us, the assistant police chief. Is there any further discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 16, update on city projects and development services, Director Michael Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the resignation of the city manager, we've had some shuffling of responsibilities. I've taken on the administrative responsibilities for the various city grants and projects that we have active underway right now, and I'd like to just quickly summarize each of those for you. We'll start with the City Hall expansion. We have a meeting with our engineers and architects next week to finalize the footprint of the expansion and for the new offices and whatnot, but the actual vertical improvements as far as the office layout is still open-ended, and that can be for a bit more until we finalize those with staff, and the commission will bring that back to you for that final blessing. But we're settling on the elevation and the footprint, essentially the site plan, to direct the engineer and architects to move forward on that. Next up,
Is that something that will have to come before the commission?
I would recommend that the final plans come before you for your blessing before
Well, I meant
we
the footprint part.
Yes, we're going to handle that internally as a site plan application. So technically, while we'll go to the planning commission for their approval, I think it would be appropriate for this commission to see it as well.
I'm assuming it'll be on the next work session.
No, because at this point, what we're doing is agreeing on the footprint, then it will finish up through the design and engineering to go to submittal. Unless you want that footprint to come before you at the work session, we can do that. That's your discretion.
Well, what I was asking, how would we pick a final footprint?
Well, we've already picked the final elevation. That's been decided. There was some question as to whether we would have a drive-through window for utilities and billings and whatnot. And the general consensus is, no, it's not necessary nor practical, from both an internal use as far as staff working the window. Circulation would be an issue with it, so we're recommending to move forward without that window. So it'll be a much simpler design too. And essentially, we've already picked the footprint, but we need to finalize that and direct the engineer and architects to move forward with their design.
So it'll be brought before the board whenever it's complete, whenever that.
Or if you'd like, we can bring it at the workshop if y'all want to take a look at it again.
It just depends, if they've got anything new, that's fine. If not, I don't see anything.
No, and in fact, it was one of the early options that you all have blessed, so I'm pretty comfortable that we can move forward with it unless, obviously, you guys want to look at it again, just to give it a final.
And it's the one that we have that's out there, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just still wondering about, having that deck.
The breezeway or whatnot between the two?
Y'all are never gonna let me live that one down.
They're gonna put that in.
That's gonna be ongoing, it is stuck on me forever. But you know what I'm talking about, that little
Yes, ma'am.
deck.
Yes. But that's not so critical right now.
Okay.
We'll get into that. And certainly, we can bring the final drawings before you, or the schematics, so that you can see what they're going to lay out. But we need to get moving on the footprint and just the plumbing schematics and the footings and the new driveway and entrance and that sort. So, but we're mostly there. And I think we have what your understanding is to move forward with it. We have our public works expansion, the pole barn style covered parking, if you will. That we're preparing the bid docs on that to put that out. Looks like Public Works is going to be able to take care of most of the site work on that, including clearing space for it out there. We're just going with building 1 now, the big building, the 8 bays. We'll take a look at the second building, which will have another 4 bays down the road. But we've pretty much, we think we're at our budget figure on that, and we'll tackle the second building another year. But at least this, we should have it done by the end of this fiscal year. So we're shooting at the end of June, so that we can get those expenses out the door and take care of it. And it looks like we'll be pretty close to the estimates that Karen originally had on that. Next up is, let's talk about the dog park. Turns out Bethany and I have a good lead for a grant, a $25,000 grant that has a submittal deadline of June 10th. We'll be working together to put that into the review process. It's $25,000, which is substantially more than what was budgeted by you all, or Karen, and with your approval. I think you all were shooting at 8. So if we can do it all with the 25 without having to dip into that 8, that's our goal on that. And rumor has it out there that it's pretty likely we'll get that award if we put a proper application together. So hopefully we'll have good news on that sometime in July or August.
July or August.
Yes, ma'am. The interstate lighting project, that is moving along. At this point, the state is wrapping up their design. It looks like that will go out for bid in November of this year, with award in December, and we're expecting probably a 90-day construction period. So we're looking at late winter, early spring to have the exit 108 fully lit. We're going to be like Goodlettsville and White House finally. So we're thrilled about that. The old Shiloh Bridge, that is moving forward, albeit slowly. There were some funding issues that slowed down that project. They're tackling through the right-of-way determination. There was some confusion over there with the different jurisdictions and property ownership and whatnot. But we're looking for that to go out to bid in, I believe, September of 2019. And yes, I said 2019.
2019?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a bridge, Shiloh Bridge.
And Old Shiloh Bridge, with an award in October. And they're thinking a 6-month project on that, so early 2020 should have that wrapped up. Fortunate thing is, it's not going to cost the city any other money, so sometimes you just have to wait to save money. And we didn't have to shell out that $700,000. Just that we need to ask our residents to be patient a little longer while that gets wrapped up.
Not only that, I think it's important that they realize that there is no other way that bridge could be done. Because Davidson County would not give us a permit to work on their side of the creek, therefore we couldn't construct the bridge even if we'd have wanted to.
Yeah, the multi-jurisdictions makes a real difficult project. Fortunately, the state stepped in and was able to herd the cats and move it together, move it forward. But because of some questions on the funding, they needed to go to a different source. That source took longer to process through and to authorize, and that was really what dragged it. But actually, they're into the NEPA review right now and the right-of-way review. So they're moving forward, but albeit slowly. But again, the city won't have any more expenses for that project than the nominal dollars that we've already put out for that right now. Turns out there was Miss Miller had a recreation and fitness grant in process. Unfortunately, it didn't appear to be completed, but we'll go take a look at that again when the funding cycle opens in about 18 to 20 months. I think that was the activity and fitness trail around the community center, so we'll take a look at that when that comes forward again. It's something that Bethany feels that she may be able to write together an adequate grant on that. And maybe as a side note, we ought to take a look at some training out there for certain staff members to learn how to write grants. I mean, we had a great grant writer. Karen was very, very capable, but she was only one person. And while she brought in several $1 million, it would be helpful if we had more resources internally for that. So we'll talk about that at another time. And then we have the sidewalk project and the multimodal path. Right now, we're working with the MPO and TDOT on that. There's an application under review with the MPO for additional funding of $714,000. We should hear back from that sometime next month, and then it goes through the process. It unfortunately, we'll be looking at some time into the fall before those monies will be available. But we're still putting the schedule together to try and hit that July 19th deadline. So hopefully I'll have more information for you next month at the workshop, so we can bring more to you on that.
So you feel like we will make that deadline?
I can't answer that right now.
Okay.
And that is about it on citywide projects. Unless you all have something else in mind.
That's great.
Oh, the sewer rehab, I forgot that one. That one is moving forward as well. We had some documentation cleanup recently, but with the assistance of the city's engineer, we've got that under control. And we should have our second reimbursement or invoice to submit to the state for payment ready in the next week or two, and we'll get that in. So that's moving forward well. Our engineers are running that for us.
And at the end of this month, when we're supposed to maybe get a little look at the survey of West Bethel or the infrastructure up there for water?
We're hoping that utility needs analysis is ready in the next coming weeks. There's still some questions out there that the Greater Nashville Regional Council is cleaning up on that study. It'll first go to, and this is the West Bethel Corridor, utility needs assessment. Basically looking to see if we can establish enough demand or need for water improvements, in particular for fire protection. And right now, the utility provider just has minimal water and pipe in the ground. That's looking at about a $7 million price tag to bring it up to full standards and for development opportunities out there, including around the racetrack with the industrial parks out there. Even on just the west side of the interstate, we have some challenges with water. But the idea is then take this study and shop it out there for funding, grants, maybe even financing, see if we can pull multiple parties together between White House Utility District, Robertson County, the city of Ridgetop, Greenbrier, and probably TDEC, and maybe even the Department of Economic and Community Development, if we can bring in a job creation or a job generation component to it, because they have some pretty deep pockets out there that they can help with, but their expectation is jobs. So we're moving that forward. It's a slow, grinding process, but it's moving forward. Hopefully I'll have something to distribute in the next month or two.
Good, thank you.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Item number 17, citizens' comments. Anybody?
Hi there.
Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Chadwick, 2253 Gideon Road. I do have a comment to make, but I want to give a little history first. On August 8th, rezoning of the Highland Rim Racetrack property came before the Planning Commission, and it was passed. It was passed by the commission here on November 21st. Several questions were asked, several questions were answered. Well, it came to light, I sent the mayor an email on March 15th this year because the city manager had said that she had passed over the sound meter to him. After I hit the send key, I thought the mayor of the city should not have to go sound measure a business. So I apologize for sending
That's fine.
that to you.
No, it's
And I'm not a public speaker, so I get all nervous. So it wasn't until later, and it was asked that, and Mr. Barr said that moving them to the I-2 zoning, it was recommended, and it should be the 80 decibels or less as sound measured at the property line at the track. So when I sent you that email, standing at our garage, it was 91 decibels. And then I said to you, they're over the 85. I was incorrect. It's 80. So the question, Commissioner, I just had a brain backup.
Coleman.
That's right. Commissioner Coleman had asked for clarification on the November 21st meeting, was told by Mr. Barr and was explained to the commission that they have to comply with both the ordinances. In our code of ordinance, it has not been changed yet. So it had come to our attention that in the Highland Rim Raceway rules for 2018, it says Millersville will enforce the 100 decibels at 100 feet of the vehicle. Then they are given the 25-pound plus or whatever they do to a car if a car can register 85 or below because they want to be good neighbors. So if I register 91 at my garage, at the property line, it is not 80. So my question is, if this is in their rules and they're not trying to do 80, then I just wanted to bring it out here that something is not correct. And I know the planning commissioners that are here, and on the August 8th planning commission meeting on YouTube, you can truly see nobody wants to address this issue anymore. And I understand that. We don't want to have to address it all the time. And because of where the track is, you have Ridgetop, Millersville, Greenbrier, and I don't want to imply this, but just county people. So the four groups of people are all there, so you would think, well, where are all the other Millersville residents? We're not up there. So I just took it upon myself, for my husband and I'm the voice. So I wanted to point out that even in their rules, they're not stressing what is supposed to be done. And like I said, it has not been changed in our code of ordinances. And if I'm incorrect, I'll apologize in advance, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention again.
Do you know what date you got that sound?
It was March 15th, the day I sent you the email. There's been one sound test done at the track. I have an email from Karen Miller, I have a copy of that sound test. She said she was under the impression that 3 were supposed to be done, somebody dropped the ball, they didn't get done, but she assured me in the email, and that was August 5th of 15. So the sound test has not been done since 2015. So she said it would get better the following year. And I have all that, if anybody, that's what this looks so full and so, but I have, you know, all the copies of the minutes, the agendas. You know, if y'all want to see it after the meeting, I'll be glad to show it to you. So, and a copy of her email and a copy of the sound test.
And I was at the track, I don't know what date it was, week before last, I believe. And to my knowledge, they did not get over the sound barrier that night. But they did not have the loudest cars there. They weren't there that night. And I do know, I have done some research, I do know every car that runs up there does have a muffler.
And you know, we don't doubt that, but if the decibel is 80, it's 80 at the property line.
It is, you're 100% right. And I will, Saturday night, I will be at the track with a sound meter.
I don't believe there's a race this Saturday night.
Well, the next Saturday night they have.
Okay.
And I may come over to your house, you know, if that's all right, and measure it over at your driveway.
That's fine. It's just, you know, you step off their property right in front, right on Kelly Willis Road, it's over 80 decibels.
Okay.
It's just very hard. I know it's hard to regulate and expect a racetrack. The races, we totally understand the races on Saturday night. What sometimes is so loud and so undaunting is when someone rents the track during the day through the week. That was like March 15th.
And I will say this, that sound up there, it depends on which way the wind's blowing.
I agree with that, but it is.
I understand what you're saying, but it
You know,
does.
and I'm not trying to, you know, bring up the two-headed snake all the time, you know, I'm just not.
Well,
I just wanted to let you know the information is out there, and it is in their official rules on their website. I have a copy of it.
I will make sure that I get with the track owners, and the next race up there, we will take a very serious look at it.
Well,
And
I'm
I'll
sorry
get you the
that it
results.
falls on you, the mayor of the city.
Well, that's all right. I like racing.
To have to do that. That's, in my mind, that's a shame that that's what has to be done. But there's just no relief. And then when I read that in the rules, I thought, they're not even saying a word about 80, but want to be good neighbors by making you at 85 decibels and giving a pound credit to your car. So, and I know Mr. Barr had put in his report, it was requested and accepted by the racetrack owners.
It was. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anyone else?
Wanted to thank the board again for allowing me this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to working with all y'all in the police department. It's been great. Y'all swearing me in. I can't wait to get started, but I think me and my family are going to head out now at this point. We just want to say thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. I hope everything goes as well as it did with our last judge.
I hear you.
Plus years.
Y'all have to hear from me very little.
You work with the judge right now?
Yes, and I'll also do this afternoon. We've already,
She'll
we're going to
keep
get it
you,
figured out.
she'll keep you straight.
Yes. We'll be all right.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Congratulations.
And there's some officers back there that I know will want to meet you out in the hall. Our court officers over in the corner.
All right, is there anyone else? Well, the city attorney left, so he didn't get no comments.
No.
Commissioners' comments. Anybody?
Nope.
Milton?
Nope, I can't do much talking, sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
Make motion adjourned.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I can't thought he was doing a good job. I asked him, so how's that tooth feel? I said, I don't know, it ain't in there.
We'll be good, we'll be good.
I said, I got a hole in there.
That one day, that one day.
I don't believe a word of that. Did you get it off, Dale? You know that prayer. It's mighty powerful. If it does.
Fifteen minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys do a great job, and it's an honor for you to come down. Just sit down, and see how you do. I appreciate it. Do a great job. Team, we'll see you now, buddy. Yes, sir. Pleasure.
And then we have our notary.
Yeah, just do it there, and then that's good.
Okay. And then do I need to get a copy to you or to the insurance?
If it's okay, some of the commission meetings on the comment section, if I could share like a video. Because I don't know if I'll ever get enough feedback from